Hey everyone, it's Shelby here. Welcome back to A Little Literary Love. I'm glad y'all are with me today because today I'm going to be talking about some of my recent favorites. These are going to be a bunch of books from quarter two, so that will be months April through June. These are like all of my 5-star reads, all of my favorites. I will also have some honorable mentions. These are books that I gave more like the 4.5-star range, but I still think you deserve to hear about them because they're also amazing. But before I get into all of those books, please make sure if you like this video, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button and also subscribing if you haven't already. I post videos every Thursday and Sunday, so make sure you're hitting that notification bell to be notified every time I post a new video. And I'm working on it. I'm trying to post shorts periodically as well. My goal is to post at least once a week of a short if I can. I'd like to post twice a week, but it's a work in progress. I post all the time on my TikTok and Instagram pages too. Those are always linked down in the description box, so be sure to check those out. I post there more frequently, and I'm posting all kinds of videos on there. It's just YouTube shorts are only like 3 minutes long, and sometimes, as you all know, I like to talk, and I like to talk a lot. So I can't always condense these videos down in only 3 minutes. So it's a work in progress. I'm working on it. Another little housekeeping thing before we get into talking about all these books. I have had several people asking me about where I resell books. Since I did that video a while back about the books that I was unhauling. And even in my last video with the bookish unboxing, I unboxed a few different subscription boxes. And one of the books I mentioned as I was opening it, that it was a YA book. And I'm just not a YA reader, and I just really don't foresee myself reading that one. So I'll probably end up selling it. So I've had several people asking me like where I usually resell books on. So I have created finally a Pango account. Never sold stuff on Pango, so we'll see how it goes. But I will leave that link down below too. I'm thinking I'm going to get back into doing like a Linktree link down there. That way you have access to like all the different links that you might need. So that'll be linked down below too if you want to check out some of the books that I don't want anymore and that I'm planning on selling. Some of them will most likely be like special editions, but not always. So if you're interested, it'll be down there. I think that's it for all the housekeeping. Now we're getting into the books. I'm so excited about these. And I did not write like any notes for myself on all of these, so hopefully I remember what all these are about. I mean, I gave them 4.5 to 5 stars. I really love them. It's just, my brain, I don't always remember things. So we're gonna wing it today, and hopefully I do well. I have 5 books to mention that I have given 5 stars. So I feel like that's not as many as the first quarter of the year, but that's still pretty good. And then I have 4 books to mention that are going to be more of like those honorable mentions, the 4.5 stars. But still, I would still consider these to be favorites of mine. So without further ado, first up, we have The Prodigal Son by Sarah Kate. I did nab the Hawkeye naked cover because I love these. And then I also have the discreet cover as well because I just can't help myself and I need to have 2 copies of it. This is the last book of the Good Brother series, and this book is just everything. This features the youngest Good Brother. He previously has like run away from home because he is gay, and his father, as we know from the other books, is a bigot and awful. So he's run away from home, and in this one, he has become a huge country star. And then we meet our other character who is a preacher and has taken over his father's church. His father was a preacher, and now he's like in jail. So he's taken over his church and he's preaching there. But he is a really big fan of his. And he's also in the closet about his sexuality and is very attracted to him. So they end up actually meeting, and of course, sparks fly, and they start this kind of secret relationship together. And it's just, I cried so much reading this book. There's so many emotional things that happen in here. Definitely check your trigger warnings for this one because it does deal with some very heavy subject matter. There is depression. They talk about one of our characters end up going through conversion therapy. And like kind of suppressing his desires. There's hurt comfort happening in this one. There is also trigger warnings for attempted suicide in here. So it is a much heavier book than I feel like Sarah Kate has usually delved into. But I feel like it's important to have these conversations and talk about things like this. And then their love story is just absolutely beautiful. I love this book. Honestly, this one might be my favorite Sarah Kate book. Like it was phenomenal. It was so good. I also adored how it wrapped up the whole series because the Good Brothers series, hands down one of my favorites from Sarah Kate. And it tied everything together. It wrapped everything up. I'm just getting all the warm and fuzzy feelings. It's so good. Then we have The Princess and the Pack by Fallon English. This is the first book of a new series. This is a debut author. I'm actually friends with Fallon English, or at least I consider her a friend. I don't know if she feels the same way about me. But this is an Omegaverse, and it's kind of like if you would take a historical romance or like the show Bridgerton and then mashed it with Omegaverse. That's what it felt like to read this story. In this one, we have our female main character. She is a princess and she is an Omega, and she is an arranged marriage with this other kingdom to the prince. And then once they get married, like he will take over as the king of that kingdom. He is an alpha. They like each other. They're very friendly with each other. But in this world, Omega's having pacts, so like more than one suitor or love interest is okay for common folk, but it is not okay for royalty because of like bloodlines and things like that. So she feels torn because she has her duty as a princess and to continue the royal line, to only be with her betrothed. But in her heart of hearts, being an Omega, she craves the comfort of being in a pack. So then on their wedding day, she finds out that she is scent match with her betrothed, but then also finds out that she is a scent match with his best friend and the gardener. And she doesn't really know what to do with this. And so there's lots of conversations that happen in this one. I adored this story. I blew through it. This is almost exactly what I would want an Omegaverse story. It was so cute and sweet, but then it was also like very steamy at times too. It was just, I loved it. I devoured it. I also loved that it was a queer normative world. And I can't wait to get more books in this series. As far as I know, so far there are 3 books planned because I think this one did get picked up by a publisher, if I'm not mistaken, which is amazing for her. But there might be more. I'm hoping there's more because both of these, her and her betrothed both have siblings. He is one of 3. He's a triplet. So I could see his other 2 brothers getting HEAs and getting their own stories. And then she also has so many siblings. Like it reminds me of Bridgerton with how many siblings she has. So I could also see there being several books with all of those siblings as well. And I'm here for all of it. It was so good. And I also feel like if you're new to Omegaverse, this would probably be a good one to start out with. It kind of eases you into it. I feel like it doesn't necessarily like bog you down with all these different like terminology. It was just a very easy read. It was fun, and I loved it. Then we have Charmed and Alarmed by Cleo White. I have been loving Cleo White recently. She writes primarily age gap stories, so of course part of why I love her, because I love a good age gap story. This is the third book of the Daddy Issue series, which is a series of novellas. And they are all about these like three girls that are, I think two of them are siblings and the other one is just like a friend of theirs, but they're all like friends. So this one is about our female main character. She is not at a very good point in her life. She was previously a ballet dancer, and that's what she was going to do for her career. That is like what she lived and breathed, was ballet. But then she has a really bad accident that leaves her to where she can no longer dance because it's just too painful for her. So she's kind of stuck in a rut, and she ends up getting a job at her dad's business. Her dad owns an architecture company with his partner, and so she gets a job as her dad's partner's as a secretary for him. Her dad's partner is his best friend. He's also a bit of a playboy character, and of course sparks fly between them, and it ends up being their romance. So there's lots of that like forbiddenness to it. It's so spicy. I really enjoyed the character development in this story for both of our characters, because, you know, our male main character, he is this playboy character, but then he's finding himself just drawn to her and only her, and wanting to care for her and wanting things to be better for her, and just I loved it. And then also we have our female main character who is literally at rock bottom and trying to figure out what to do with her life. And we slowly see her, you know, rising from the ashes, so to speak. And it's just so lovely. I loved this entire series, and I can't wait to read more from this author. Then we have Bourbon and Proof by Victoria Wilder. This is the third book of the Bourbon Boys series. This is a series of romantic suspense stories, although I feel like they're a lot lighter on the romantic suspense. But it follows these three brothers whose family owns a bourbon making business. So in this story, we have the oldest brother and their grandfather, who is the actual owner of the business, has made this ultimatum, has changed his will that his company, when he dies, will only go to his married grandsons. So in the prior two books of this series, the other brothers have ended up getting married. And that leaves Ace, our oldest brother, who has not gotten married and has sworn that he never will get married. Now he's kind of stuck, and he is the one that basically runs the business. So this kind of feels like a slap in the face to him, although it's also a little bit of conniving on the grandfather's part to kind of nudge him, because then we have our female main character who is best friends with the middle brother, and she is just such an independent, speaks her mind kind of character, and I love her. She owns a bar/burlesque club, and in prior books we come to find out that her dad is not a good person. He ends up getting on house arrest, and he has a lot of debts that he needs to pay off. So she is getting all these calls of people that her father has owed, and now they're contacting her to pay up on her father's debts. So we have an arranged marriage situation between these two characters, because he needs to get married so that he can get this business that he already basically runs, if his grandfather dies. And then two, he sees this as a way to help protect her from all of these people that are coming to collect on her father's debts, because he's a very, very bad guy, and some of these people could potentially harm her. This was just such a good story. This is my favorite of the series. I have been shipping these two characters from book one as soon as they came up. They came up in the book and I was like, I need their story. I know they need to get together. I'm here for it. And this one did not disappoint. This has that like mutual pining between the two characters, and you find out that he hasn't really admitted it to himself, but he's basically been in love with her for years, and he just wants to keep her safe, but also wants her to be her own person and do what she wants to do. And he's so supportive of her, and I loved it so much. It was amazing. And then the last for my 5 books before we get to the honorable mentions, I have Salt Kiss by Sierra Simone. This one was actually a reread for me. I read this previously when it first released, but then I reread this to prepare for book 3 coming out this year. This one is the first book of the Lyonese trilogy. This is a modern day Tristan and Isolde retelling. We have Tristan, and that is the only point of view that we get in this book. He gets hired to be the bodyguard of Mark, who has his own kingdom, so to speak. He owns a sex club that deals in secrets, and Tristan is just so enamored by Mark, and they form a kinky relationship together. And then Mark conveniently left out that he is engaged to Isolde and asks Mark near the end of this book to go and fetch his bride-to-be. She is currently in Ireland, and he had plans to go and take a yacht trip across the Atlantic back to the United States with her, but something happens in this book that deters him from being able to do that. So he sends Tristan in his stead, and then Tristan quickly becomes enamored with Isolde and finds a kindred spirit in Isolde and finds himself falling in love with her as well. So we have our sweet baby sad boy Tristan just caught in the middle, falling in love with both of these people that are set to be married, and he just doesn't know what to do with himself. And it was just absolutely fantastic. I adore Sierra Simone. I love basically everything that she writes, so this was no exception. I loved this story. I loved the angst. I loved the emotions, the contradictory emotions. These characters felt like such real people. The spice, it's spicing in this one. It's fantastic, and I loved it. Then we get to my more honorable mentions, but still favorites nonetheless. These are more of that 4.5 stars, and honestly, if I keep thinking, I might bump these up to 5 stars. Who knows? We have Not All Himbos Wear Capes by C. Rochelle. This is the first book of her Villainous Things series. This is a series of superhero romances, and I believe all of them are male romances. In this one, this is like an enemies to lovers romance. We have one of our main characters, he is a super villain, and the other one is a superhero, and they are tasked against each other and fight against each other all the time. But when they're in their like human-esque form, they end up matching on a dating site and really hitting it off. And they quickly become obsessed with one another, but they don't know each other's secret super identities. So there's some hilarious moments that happen in this one. There's lots of spice in this one. I also ended up crying in this one. I fell so hard for both of these characters. They were just absolutely adorable together. And I really need to get on with reading more books from this series. I immediately downloaded the second one, and I read this one back in I want to say I read this back in April, and I still haven't read the second one, but I will get to it because I love this one. Then we have Enchantra by Kaylee Smith. This is the second book, whatever this series is called. And I'm really hoping that there's more than 2 books in this series, and I hope that she continues on. But this one is about the younger sister of the female character of the first book of this series, and she is looking at different letters of her mother's, who has since passed away. And there's this mysterious letter that is inviting her mother to this mansion in France, I believe. So she decides to go in her mother's stead, since her mother is no longer living, and just go to this mansion and see what this person wants from her mother, and potentially learn more about her mother. But when she gets there, she quickly becomes entrapped in this mansion and is trapped in this game that all of the family members of this mansion are stuck playing together. And it's a game to the death that they have to replay every single year. And so now she's trapped playing this game with them. And when she gets there, she is forced to marry one of the members of the family as a way of protecting her, since she is human and they're like not human. Or she's human-esque. I don't want to spoil too much of it. So it becomes a romance with the guy that she ends up getting married to. And it's just, I loved this one. I honestly liked this one more than the first one, and I really enjoyed the first book. I just feel like I adored all of the characters in this story, this entire family, and that's why I'm really hoping that we get more books in this world, because I want to get books of all of the different siblings because I love them so much. I loved the dynamic between our female main character and the male main character, and them slowly forming a relationship and a love story. It was so unique and so fun, and I loved it. Then we have Play with the Phantom by Amanda Richardson. This is another author that I just have stumbled upon this year and have really loved. I've read several of her books and I'm loving them. They're fantastic. They're forbidden romance. This one is another forbidden romance. This one is our female main character. She ends up going on vacation with her boyfriend, and this vacation is with her boyfriend's family. And she finds out that her boyfriend has a twin brother that her boyfriend does not speak about. But her and her boyfriend are kind of, things are not really necessarily going well between the two of them, because her boyfriend is very much a workaholic, and doesn't seem to want to spend a lot of time with her. So she finds herself growing, spending a lot of time with her boyfriend's twin and getting to know him. But she's also got a little bit of a stalker that keeps sending her messages. This is just so good. It's that like good, like forbidden taboo-ness to it. Lots of spice in here. He is obsessed with her, like obsessed, and so supportive of her, and like basically wants to buy her the world. And I eat that up. I love seeing that in a male main character. It was so good. And I keep seeing like teasers that Amanda Richardson has for the third book, which is about her boyfriend and how I'm assuming he ends up redeeming himself. And I can't wait for it. It's going to be so, so good. And then the last book that I have to mention is Feathers from the Sky by Jess Weisskopf. I have this gorgeous special edition copy with like the foiling on it. It's so pretty. This is another reread. I read this last year and then read this again in preparation for book 2 of this duology. While I didn't necessarily like book 2 as much as I liked book 1, I still adore this duology and I highly recommend it. It is just very dark. So this is a dark paranormal romance. This is a vampire romance. Our female main character, she is descended from vampire hunters, and our male main character is a vampire. And he devises a plan for him to meet her and for them to kind of get together. They end up doing this very like naughty photo shoot together. So if you've ever seen all of those different Stranger Sundays that I think it was Kayla Ruiz photography did, and just kind of like they blew up the internet. It was kind of like that. They do kind of like that in this one, where they do this like naughty photo shoot together, but they've never met each other before. So he kind of puts this together so that he can start to get to know her a little bit more, because he thinks, since she is descended from vampire hunters, he thinks that she had something to do with his missing brother. So he is setting out to get close to her so he can find out what she knows. And boy, oh boy, do a lot of things happen in this book. A lot of different things happen. There is like, I don't even know how to describe this because I don't want to give anything away. It's so good. This one is also very spicy. Book 2 is also very spicy, very dark, but book 2 gets a lot darker than this one. One of our characters in this one does have depression, and that becomes even more prevalent in book 2. Book 2 does delve into like suicide and attempted suicide, suicidal thoughts, all of that jazz. Toxic relationship, honestly. These characters are true enemies, and they kind of go back and forth with that because they can't help but be so drawn to one another, but they also hate each other because he's a vampire, she's a vampire hunter. Like, they're trying to kill each other. So it's a whirlwind. It really is. But I love this. I love Jess Weisskopf, and I think this story is honestly genius. And I really don't think it's talked about enough. But like I said, just know it is very dark. So, but that is going to be all of my recent favorites, and I think you all should check them out. I will also, I forgot to mention this at the very beginning too, I will also have a link to my bookshop.org account, which is a online platform where you can buy books, but the proceeds of those books actually go back into indie bookstores. So I feel like it's a really like feel good, great place to shop online for books, because you know that your money is actually going to support small businesses. Anyway, so I have created a book list on there of some of my favorite books of this year, and I'm working on making some other book lists for there. So if you want to go and check it out, I am also affiliate with there. So if you use my link and you use it to buy any of those books, I do get a little bit of a commission. So I really appreciate that. But yes, so that'll also be linked down below. But let me know some of your favorite books that you've read this year, because I'm always, of course, adding more books to my list. So I'm sure there's more books out there that I need to check out. So let me know what ones I should check out. But otherwise, that is going to be it for this long and somewhat rambly video. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.